The research team hypothesized German participants will rate the robot lower on likability, trust, and source credibility, and accept the robot's recommendation less than Chinese participants. And it also hypothesized for implicit communication style, Chinese participants will rate the robot higher on the likability, trust, credibility, and accept the robot's recommendations more often than German participants. How about explicit communication style? The study hypothesized to the opposite, meaning Chinese participants will rate the robot lower on likability, trust, credibility, and accept the robot's recommendation less than German participants. Well, in another word, the studies want to explore if the communication styles influencing decision making or not. If yes, how about for different cultures? Actually, in previous studies, not about human-robot interaction, results have found Chinese feel more comfortable to change the decisions or to make decisions if the communication style is implicit. Explicit communication style may be very direct, providing the information, but some Chinese don't feel so comfortable on change of the decisions, or don't feel so comfortable for the people having recommendations. One more hypothesis. Chinese participants will accept robot's recommendations more often when a robot speaks in Chinese. Why? Because when we learn native language, we don't learn by grammars. But when we learn second language, particularly if Chinese learn English, vocabulary, grammars, some rules are so important. When Chinese speak Chinese language, their communication style can be more implicit, like the way they learn the language. Based on the hypothesis, a small experiment was designed. There were only 16 Chinese and 16 Germans. That was not a big experiment. The research team did not expect some interesting findings. But actually later we will learn the results could be very interesting. So the research team designed a small experiment, invited 32 participants in total. Again, 16 Chinese and 16 Germans. And the two samples are homogeneous gender, experience with robot technology, education, so on and so forth. And it's pretty straightforward to explain the experiment. Imagine you are invited to do the experiment. You will be invited to sit in front of the computer and the small robot. Well, actually the small robot just like this tall, like a toy. Well, actually you can buy it like a toy. And on the display of the computer, there are some simple decisions for you to make. And those simple decisions are actually online shopping decisions. There are two options, actually two prices of one product. And you will make a decision to select the right price, the correct price of the product. Well, since the experiment already finished, I can tell you both prices are correct, meaning there are different prices for a USB drive. For example, there will be some difference between the two items, but it wasn't so big. You can buy the same product in the two prices in the world. Okay, after making the decision, very simple, one of the two, the robot say things. How to design a response in an implicit communication style? How do you think? Well, the robot said, think twice. What do you mean? Whatever decision you make, I can say, I recommend you to think twice. Yes, what's wrong with it? The robot doesn't say, your decision is good or the bad. It just says, think twice. What does that mean? Or the robot can say, you may want to reconsider. Too expensive. That means you may want to select the cheaper price. Very direct, very explicit. And the robot recommended in two languages. Well, we can code, we can teach the robot to speak Chinese or to speak German or to speak English. No problem, we can do that. And the most important thing is, if the robot disagree with you, are you going to change? How do you think about the results? Well, just say, how many % of decisions made changed by participants? Give a wild guess. And how about Chinese? How about Germans? Any difference? How do you think? Do Chinese change their decisions more often or Germans? And how about communication style? If the robot communicated in an explicit way, do Chinese people change or not?